Yo, what's going on, guys? KrispyFlakes here, and it appears that Klay Thompson, according to Woj, is going to be re-signing with the Golden State Warriors. So the Warriors are going to be offering him a 5-year, $190 million contract. I know a lot of you guys might think, well, that's no guarantee that he signs with the team. Really, man, I think that pretty much solidifies it, because for one, we don't really know how much money other teams are going to be willing to offer Klay Thompson due to his ACL injury. Not only that, but I believe the Warriors are the only team that can offer him a 5-year contract. I think in most cases you can do a maximum of 4 years, but with your team, long enough, you can get that supermax contract, right? So I think this pretty much solidifies Klay Thompson going back to the Golden State Warriors. And honestly speaking, man, I'm so happy for Klay because for one, he has that devastating injury. And it just absolutely sucks that, he had to miss a portion of the NBA Finals. He was playing some really good basketball, one of the greatest shooters of all time. So, I mean, for the Golden State Warriors to go out there and invest in him now, you can argue in years past they should have done this a lot sooner, right? Because Klay Thompson's always been the second, third option on the team. But in reality, playing behind Stephen Curry and Klay Thompson, Stephen Curry and Kevin Durant, Klay Thompson is more than capable, I would say, to be a first option player, man. He's got that type of skill set out there. Now, I do like him in a second or third role in this day and age, but I think he definitely has the skill set. And you get players like Kemba Walker that get these supermax contracts, which I will think he will probably end up taking with the Charlotte Hornets, or really a number of cases, the Rudy Goberts of the world and stuff like that are big pieces of their team. But Klay Thompson just has always been in the shadow sometimes of other great players, right, man? So there is no reason to lowball him out there. I do think the Golden State Warriors were not willing to risk that. So what I want to do here is actually bring up NBA 2K19 and just kind of look at the Golden State Warriors situation, because next year, man, they're going to be signing Klay Thompson this big contract. He's going to be getting paid a huge contract, man, for that first season, which does limit this team cap-wise. But I do think it's them kind of looking towards the future, knowing that Klay Thompson's only going to be, 29, 30 years of age after this next NBA season, right? So, I mean, to me, what exactly does Klay Thompson become now? I would probably have to say, because, his defense has always been great. I do think that after this injury, he probably takes a step defensively, man, just because, it's like you can come back from an ACL injury and still be a great player, but you might never be the exact player you were before. So I think defensively, he probably slows down a little bit. Now, he'll still be a good defender because, you don't go from being one of the best two-way players in the NBA all the way to just being a scrub defensively. So I still think he'll be a serviceable defender. Now, from an offensive standpoint, I mean, I think we'll see him coming off a lot more screens. As far as beating guys off the dribble, that's probably, you really won't see that from Klay Thompson's game all that much, man. I think really the best way to show what he can do now is look at guys like Ray Allen later in their careers, man, running off screens and stuff like that. I mean, Ray played till he was, 40 years old, and Klay Thompson with that jump shot, I think can lose that athleticism, but still become a great player like Ray Allen was late in his NBA career. I think other guys you might want to compare him to is like a JJ Redick. JJ's like 34, 35, never been an athletic player, but still right now can average 18 points per game at the age of 35. So Klay Thompson's only going to be 30. And I think that he'll be good for that duration of that 5-year deal, up until he's 34, 35 years old, right? So then at that point, this was really his last chance for a big payday, and it shows loyalty of the Golden State Warriors, because you look at DeMarcus Cousins, had a horrible injury, and he's not been able to get a nice contract, man. I mean, he signed the 1 year with the Warriors for like $5 million. He got offered a 2-year, $40 million contract last season by the Pelicans. Of course, he declined that, hoping for a better payday. And it appears now that DeMarcus is still not getting that payday, man. So, I mean, it just kind of goes to show that, depending on your situation, who knows, if DeMarcus would have stayed with the Kings and bought into their system, been a big part of their current success and what they could be, but still had that major injury, you could have expected him probably to still get a similar type of contract that Klay Thompson's now getting, man. So loyalty, definitely, they say it's a business aspect type of league, but I think, Klay Thompson just being the great player he is and just what he's done for the franchise, I think it's finally starting to pay off for him, man. So I was happy to hear that, because Klay Thompson's mindset was this: all right, if I go into free agency that day one, as soon as midnight strikes, whenever, I think it's actually 6 p.m. Eastern time this year that free agency officially starts. he was like, all right, man, if I don't hear anything from anybody from the Warriors side, if they leave me on red, don't read my text messages, then I'm going to listen to other offers. I know those Los Angeles Lakers got a max contract spot. I know the Clippers want me. I know there's plenty of other teams out there that would wait a season for me to get better. And then after that, they got a superstar shooting guard, a guy that's one of the best shooters of all time on their team for 4 years. So the Warriors don't want to risk on that. Now, what exactly do the Warriors do next season and the rest of this offseason? I think Kevin Durant's probably gone. I was looking at the Vegas odds, and out of the 3 major teams, I believe that being the Warriors, the Nets, and the Knicks, it says the Warriors have like the least amount of chance of signing Kevin Durant, with the Nets being number 1 listed, right? So, I mean, I don't think he comes back to the Golden State Warriors, which is not totally a bad thing because, of course, he would have came back on a max contract himself. So, right now you're paying, supermax money to Stephen Curry, max contract money to Klay Thompson, and it's looking like 5 years, $30.56 million this season. It doesn't leave you with a ton of room. Now, the nice thing is that Draymond Green is still a solid piece of the franchise. 1 year, $18 million. That's not really the worst thing in the world for a guy that's one of the best defensive players and somebody that can kind of do the dirty work out there. So that's okay. I think Draymond probably stays with the team this season too and doesn't end up getting traded or anything like that. It would be interesting to see what DeMarcus Cousins does, though, because, if they have the cap space out there to sign DeMarcus to like a 1 year deal, maybe around $25 million, that would be nice because all of a sudden, you got Curry out there, you got Draymond, and you got DeMarcus. And DeMarcus kind of gets to play out a season where he is the solidified second scoring option on the team. Going back to his Kings days, he was number 1. Now on the Pelicans, number 2 behind Anthony Davis. So it really gives the Warriors a low risk, high reward type of a guy to have for 1 year, man. He already knows the plays and everything out there like that. So I think DeMarcus Cousins, if I had to bet my money on it, probably comes back to the Golden State Warriors on a 1 year contract, paying pretty good money. I know the New York Knicks offered him up that contract, so it's like, if you're DeMarcus, do you go and play for the Knicks for a season on a big contract, or do you go and play for the Golden State Warriors for another season on a contract, man? Because even if he goes to the Knicks, that team's not making the playoffs, and really, I think losing has a lot to say about a player, right? So if he goes to that team, can't really lead them to the playoffs, then all of a sudden, it's like DeMarcus Cousins doesn't look as good out there, where if you do play on a team with Stephen Curry, you still have a chance at a championship. I don't care, man. Curry's that type of player, man. He's next level, so you have a chance to win a championship out there. So I think he probably sticks around with them. You got Andre Iguodala. Do I see him starting next season? I mean, he had a pretty good finals, but he's going to be like 35, 36 at the beginning of the season. So he's on a 1 year, $17 million contract. That's a tough situation because he's definitely could still be a nice role player for the team, but that is kind of getting into the realm of starting role player money. So, if Kevin Durant leaves, do I see Iguodala starting? I think you probably got to go out there and still find a replacement star, man. I don't know what exactly you look for, but, something like that. Sean Livingston got 1 more year left on his deal. I'm sure he'll probably be back, but once again, getting a bit older out there too. So it gets to the point where you're kind of paying some of these older vets around like the later part of their contract. So they're not producing as much, but they're still getting paid as when they were kind of playing like great role players, right? I think Jordan Bell probably gets some pretty good playing time next season. He's on a 1 year, $1.3 million contract. So while he's a 75 overall on NBA 2K19, I do think that he still has the potential to be a really good, I'm going to say backup. I don't really ever see him being a starter in the NBA, but I think he definitely is going to be working on his game this summer because he's going to be in a contract year. So he might be a pretty good filler piece for the Golden State Warriors next year at a cheap price. Damian Jones got a nice contract for a center. Alfonso McKinney, he got some pretty good, decent minutes out there for the Golden State Warriors during the finals and stuff. So maybe that kind of built his confidence up where he can become a serviceable guy. And realistically, man, I mean, in the short term of things, a 6'8" guy that can spread the floor, you can see Alfonso McKinney, based on the contract situation, potentially being the starter of the Warriors next season. It wouldn't be the worst idea if they don't really have a lot of different options out there. Of course, you got the rookie draft pick, Jordan Poole. It'll be interesting to see what he does like in the summer league and, eventually in the preseason. And he might end up being a guy that gets some pretty good opportunities out there with all the injuries. And, Klay Thompson being out, of course, so that might open up some minutes for him. And then, of course, you got some other dudes out there too. But let's go ahead real quick here and look at free agency and kind of see what type of guys we think the Warriors could get on the team to replace Klay Thompson and Kevin Durant for the short term for Klay Thompson and then forever for Durant, who will never be a member of the Golden State Warriors ever again. But yeah, free agency, you can't really afford a guy like a Julius Randle. A Jeremy Lamb, if you can get him at a decent price, would be a pretty good option just for a season, because if you could especially sign him to like a 2 or 3 year deal, because of course you start next season, he averaged like 18 points per game for the Charlotte Hornets, so he definitely knows how to fill up the basket. And then eventually, Klay Thompson's back, and you can get Jeremy Lamb on the team to be a 6-man for a pretty good contract. Mirotic, don't really see him fitting on the team. Draymond Green is a starting power forward. I don't like Draymond or Mirotic at the 3 spot, so I don't really see that happening. Harrison Barnes, I've heard that he's going to sign a 4-year, $90 million contract with the Sacramento Kings. So, yeah, that's probably not an option anymore. It would have been cool to see him go back to the Warriors and become more of a main option on the team. Marcus Morris, once again, I don't really like him at the 3 spot. Kelly Oubre probably going back to the Phoenix Suns, I would imagine. And a lot of these guys, too, would be a little bit too expensive anyway, man. So, I mean, Trevor Ariza, I think he would be a nice 1-year player. He was willing to go to the Washington Wizards, so I think him having a chance to play for the Golden State Warriors on a cheap contract would be a cool situation for him. Jeff Green, always a solid guy. Wesley Matthews, could probably get him on a $5 million contract. Gerald Green, Mario Hezonja. So there definitely is solid enough role players out there. It's really going to come down to the play of Stephen Curry next season, Draymond Green, and if they have the ability to go back and re-sign DeMarcus Cousins on a contract, because, like I said, guys, Klay Thompson, probably not back next season, probably doesn't play the entire season. You have a 5-year contract right like that. You don't want to rush a guy back. You don't want to do that, man. There's no point of it, because all of a sudden, he re-injures that, then you're paying a guy for 4 more years that can't even play basketball anymore, right? So I think he doesn't play at all next season. Guys, give me your thoughts about this in the comment section below. What do you think happens with the Golden State Warriors next season? What are your thoughts on Klay Thompson potentially being back on the team? It sounds like he probably will be. Thank you all so much for watching, man. Be sure to drop that like, subscribe if you're new to my channel, and peace out, my friends.